Hey folks, it's Harry from Sam Daddy BBQ. I'm here with Chef Martin all the way in Salt Lake City, Utah. I'm just so excited to let you guys know we are cooking up a storm. We're gonna do some Asian sambal, and I'm gonna show Chef Martin some tricks of the trade of how we create some wonderful flavors that will go into some of the other dishes that we're gonna be making. So stay tuned for this reel.
So Harry, for this shrimp dish and for a lot of other things that we're cooking together today, we're making a sambal, is that correct?
Yes, in Asia, one of the fundamental foundation building blocks of cooking is building a good sambal base. So a sambal, for those of you not aware, is just sort of a Asian style sofritos.
Okay.
It's got things like aromatics. We have some aromatics here. We have some onions, some ginger, garlic, and some amazingly wonderful fragrant lemongrass.
Love lemongrass.
So once we kind of saute all these aromatics together, we're gonna add some acid. The acid is gonna come from something like this. This is gonna be a tamarind. So this is fresh tamarind from the tree, and it comes in a pot. And Chef Martin's gonna actually show you guys how we extract the tamarind pulp and put it into the sambal. We're also gonna use a little bit of sweet, and ordinarily we use palm sugar, but we don't have palm sugar here. So we're gonna use a little bit of brown sugar. And for the liquid, we're gonna use some amazingly creamy coconut milk. So that's the dairy substitute. So different parts of the world, they use different kinds of liquids. Sometimes we use stock, sometimes we use yogurt. But today we're gonna add some coconut cream. I'm gonna make a wonderful blend of some chili and spices with a little bit of some Thai style chili paste.
Oh, fantastic. This sounds delicious. And you can't smell it, but that's too bad because it smells amazing in here. All these aromatics really living up to their names. So what do we need to do first?
All right, so let's go ahead and warm up some oil.
Okay.
And we have a little bit of EVO in here. Get about maybe 3 or 4 tablespoons of oil.
Okay.
And let's kind of get the aromatics sauteed. I'm gonna add some onions on here.
Okay.
That's good. Okay, and then we're gonna add the lemongrass. So what I like to try to do is I saute the onions and lemongrass first. I'll save the ginger and the garlic for later because they tend to burn. And you wanna do it under medium heat and with enough oil to get some flavor and let the lemongrass and the onions kind of get a little bit translucent. Okay. And here's a tip. Obviously, when you slice a lemongrass, you only want to use the ends, right? So don't use the leafy part. Okay. The leafy part are good for as a brush. So in Asia, you use, instead of a barbecue brush, you kind of use the ends or the fronds, and you can brush it on your meat, which we are going to do because I'm going to show you how to make an amazing satay.
That's going to be amazing.
Satay,
I can't wait for that.
Spicy peanut sauce. Yeah. So back to this one, you want to make sure that you trim off only the white parts. Okay. Now, if you want, you are like lazy like me. I'm sorry. I am a very cost-effective and process-effective cook. Okay. I'm cheap and lazy.
Efficient. Yeah.
Yes, I'm cheap and lazy. So you can go to the Asian market and buy it already ground. Okay. So that will be a huge time saver for folks who don't want to end up chopping this. This lasts in the freezer for many months. So a lot of times when I'm too lazy to go get the lemongrass and chop it, I'll just use the frozen one. Okay. Just as well.
So the lemongrass is in some ways like leeks in that we're not using the whole thing. We're just going to use that like really succulent part at the bottom.
It would be more along the lines of lemon rind, like lime rind. So it's got that kind of citrusy note to it. And the leeks would be analogous to the onion.
Oh, no, I just mean like in the part that we're using of it.
Yes, you want to use the top part. Yeah, you can use, this part is kind of too woody to use. So the white parts are the ones that are kind of tender. You want to make sure that once you cook it, you don't want it gritty in the mouth. Yeah. Like bits of fiber. So as that sautés down, we want to kind of cook it. Now this sambal process will take a while. So when you watch this video, it's actually going to be an hour to make this. So it's kind of like making spaghetti sauce. You really want to cook it and you want to refrigerate it and use it the next day. We will have it kind of sauteed down. So now that we're going to add a little bit of ginger. So I add ginger kind of halfway through. So we start off with the ones that won't burn. Okay. A little bit of ginger, and then I add the garlic at the end. So we'll give it another 5-10 minutes on that. Ginger, you can smell the aromatic essence of ginger, the citrusy notes of the lemongrass together with the sweetness of the onions. So cooking is universal because every part of the world, in France, you might use a mirepoix, something like a carrot and celery and onion. You go to Spain, they do something called sofritos. You go to Louisiana, you have the Holy Trinity. And if you want to cook Chinese food, all you need to do is have some ginger, green onions, and some garlic, and you have Chinese food. So the beauty about cooking is that it's all like Lego blocks. So once you understand the blue block, the yellow block, and the red block, you can kind of seamlessly stitch them together to create a wonderful fabric of diverse cuisine found around the world.
That's fantastic. Great way of thinking about it.
So we're at a stage where I can add the garlic. So the ginger has had a chance to kind of get aromatic. We can smell it. So I always tell people, go with the smell and go with the look. You want the onions to kind of cook down. You want the lemongrass to release its flavor together with the ginger. So now I'm going to add the last component, which is the garlic. The garlic tends to be burnt. It may burn. So the key is to ensure two things. Right? Number one, your temperature control is good, like what you have now. It's kind of a medium-low simmer. You also want to make sure that there's enough oil so that it doesn't burn. Now, this is not something you can do unattended. All right. So, folks, when you're watching this at home, do not try to do this and walk away, turn on the TV.
That's right.
You really have to work on your sambal, especially in this crucial phase, and get all the aromatic release of all the wonderful, wonderful flavors and smells.
Oh, when you put that garlic in there, the smell that came off of it just like doubled in quality. It's just amazing.
So before the garlic burns, right, we're going to add a little bit of the chili paste now. Add chili paste like so. And depending on the chili paste that you're using, this one is a Thai style chili paste. And this is quite spicy. So we're going to start off with about half a can, about two heaping teaspoons.
Okay.
I'm going to turn the fire down a little bit. We add a little bit of oil. And I'm going to add now adding the liquid. I'm going to use a coconut milk. Now this is coconut cream. It's not sweet. It's just basically the milk squeezed from the coconut. I'm going to add a little bit. And it's going to build that rich base of aromatic flavors, heat, all that wonderful Asian flavor. Too bad you're not here. This entire stage is full.
It's really fantastic, guys. It's really fantastic.
So even before we start cooking, putting it on meat and seafood and vegetables, you can already feel that this has such great potential for flavor and for texture that we're going to build into all the dishes.
Of course, it's great to have a nice silicone spatula for this. You can scrape through the edges, get everything mixed around really nicely.
So this is very similar to like making spaghetti bolognese. You really have to kind of simmer it down. It's not uncommon to have you make the sambal and have the sambal simmer for hours so that you can get into a dark, kind of brown, like caramelized state. And the complexity of the flavor is absolutely amazing. The nice thing about this is you don't have to make this all the time. Once you make a big batch, you can refrigerate it or freeze it, and it'll last you a long time. So this is the base that you can use to make different marinades in Asian food. You can make salad dressings. You can make satay sauces. You can also kind of smear it on seafood. So it's a really kind of like the Asian version of barbecue sauce.
And you were even saying that taking a spoonful of it and throwing it into some instant ramen makes it into an actual meal, right?
At 2 a.m. in the morning, after Netflix binge watching, you come downstairs and you say, I'm starving. Put some ramen together and put a dollop of that stuff in there, and it's a good Netflix night.
That's great.
So cooking is about joy. Cooking is about cooking from the heart. I always tell people, don't listen to me when I teach you how I cook, because I want you to take these ideas and go out and cook it and bring joy to your heart. Because really, cooking, there's no right, there's no wrong.
It's not so much about following one exact recipe as making something that you love.
So long as you understand that you can blend flavors. I'm big on having different flavors. I like sweet, sour, spicy, and aromatic. And that is almost like an empty canvas that when I see a plate, I see possibilities. I don't see an empty plate. And that's really what cooking is about. Cooking from the heart, spreading joy, and putting that love and energy into the food. People always say, Mama's cooking is better. It's not because Mama is a better cook. Mama cooks with love. So we all should learn to cook with love. So when you have anxiety, you're angry, you're anxious, don't cook. Because you're going to transfer the energy to the food. Chef Martin, so we've been able to reduce down the aromatics. We added a little bit of curry paste and a little bit of liquid from the coconut milk. So let's now layer on a couple more flavors. We're going to add a little bit of tanginess. And if you want to go ahead and get some of this pulp in here, and you probably need some gloves. What we're going to do is try not to get the seeds in there. If you get the seeds in there, don't worry about it. But we're going to do the old school way. This is kind of how I did it as a kid. We would go and remove the tamarind and soak it in water. And what you're going to do is you're going to kind of squeeze it and let that drip down here. And if you get the seeds in there, no problem. We'll just fish it out.
I definitely got one in that time. The idea is that,
so you're going to basically squeeze it so you can get, look at that beautiful tamarind pulp.
I think I got it here. Yep. That's fun.
You're a pro, so you know this is gonna work. If you don't want to go to the trouble that Chef Martin is showing you how the old school way is done, you can actually cheat. you can go to the store and get yourself a little tamarind powder pack. So they sell this in Asian markets. It's called a tamarind soup mix. And that also works really well. I'll kind of do a little demo here, right? But the real thing is a lot better. And it's so much fun playing with your food. And it's so something special about squeezing that tamarind through your fingertips.
It really is fun.
Like
so about how much of this am I looking for?
I think that's good. That's good. That's good.
So it looks like that's about 3/4 of a cup in there.
Okay, so let's stir it up here. And depending on your preference, some people like a very tangy sambal, some people like a sweet sambal. So we're gonna do a little bit of a blend because we're gonna use it as a neutral foil, and we're gonna use it as a base. It's kind of like your what I call a general purpose barbecue sauce.
Okay,
and you can make a barbecue sauce tangy, you can make a barbecue sauce sweet, you can make a barbecue sauce spicy, and so on. So we're gonna show you guys how in Asia we kind of create a sambal style, which is really analogous to a barbecue sauce. So we can stir it up. Okay, I'm gonna do a taste test here. So taste it. It's now on the tangy side. So if we were gonna make a fish curry, or we want to marinate fish, this would be something you could use. So you could actually separate it and put in a tub, and have it as your tangy sambal as a separate set. So now we're going to take it a little bit to the sweet side. I'm going to add a little brown sugar to it.
All right.
And I'm going to make more of a neutral, kind of like if you make barbecue sauce, it would be the original recipe.
Okay, yeah.
And then you would do a riff on the original recipe to make it kind of Carolina style tangy. And if you want to do another riff, you riff your barbecue sauce into like a Kansas City sweet.
Okay.
If you want to do tomato, like a Texas style, Texas style barbecue sauce, you would make more tomatoes in it. So again, cooking is universal around the world. Doesn't matter if it's Asian cooking, it's American cuisine, it's German, Dutch. It's all about building blocks of the flavors of sweet, sour, salty, and spicy. And that's really the key. And I always tell people, cook with joy from your heart, because really you want to create flavors that you like. You want to create flavors that your family likes.
All right, I'm going to give that a taste now. We put that sugar in there.
Okay. All right. And give it a taste. So now it's sweetened.
Oh, that's lovely.
All right. So it's still kind of leaning a little bit on the tangy side. And we'll add a little bit more brown sugar. So I want to take it down to somewhere in the middle, because we're going to use this to make the satay sauce, marinate, and we're also going to use this for our shrimp dish. Okay. So, and what is nice about this is you can tune it any other way. So let's say if you want to move towards the tangy side, you just take some of that pulp and squeeze some more in there. And a lot of times what I do is I divide up the sambal. So I have kind of two different flavor profiles.
Yeah.
And so now all we need to do is patience and love and simmer this down like a bolognese. And I like to cook it for about at least 45 minutes.
Okay. And really concentrate it.
Concentrate it and then keep it the consistency of kind of like thick gravy.
Okay.
And after you finish, you let it cool and you refrigerate it. And it's always better the day after.
We've got a great dish planned for us here today. I can see. Tell us what we're making.
We're going to be making a Malaysian satay with a spicy peanut sauce. And this is a kind of a kebab that's extremely popular in Asia. There are many variations. They make them all over in Asia. You have a Thai version, Indonesian version, Singaporean version, Malaysian version. So today we're going to do a little riff. And we made a wonderful, beautiful sambal. And we're going to show you guys how we make the sambal, how we use the sambal to marinate the beef and the chicken.
This is going to be great. Let's jump right into it, shall we?
Cool. So let's go ahead and make the marinade, and we're going to put some curry powder in there.
Okay. How much roughly am I looking at?
Maybe about 2 tablespoons.
2 tablespoons? Okay.
Now let's add some of the sambal we made. Kind of 1-to-1 ratio.
Beautiful.
And let's add a little bit of brown sugar. And the ratio is kind of up to you. You can just get it to the level of the sweetness you like. Go ahead and mix that up. So we have 3 ingredients: a sambal, brown sugar, and some curry powder. We're going to cut it with a little bit of acid. We use a little bit of rice wine vinegar. And I'm going to add a little bit of coconut milk to kind of thin it out. So let's make a marinade. Give it a nice stir.
Oh, man. This is amazing
It'll
already.
be absolutely amazing. This is actually good as a sauce. You can heat it up and use it as a sauce. But today we're going to do it as a marinade. Okay. The sambal is going to be also used to make the peanut barbecue sauce.
Oh, yum.
Fantastic. We have some ground peanuts here. We're going to char them so we get a little bit of toasted charred peanut flavor with the sauce. Amazing. That looks really good. So here's the beautiful ribeye. We're going to do a beef satay. We do a chicken satay. And you can cook chicken satay with chicken breast, but I love the dark meat because it does not dry out. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut it into strips like that are suitable on a skewer on this side. And then on the beef, you can cut it. This is the on the beef ribeye. This is called the spinalis dorsi, and that's the eye. So I'm going to cut off the spinalis and then cut it into strips. So, and we're going to cut this into strips so we can skewer it on a skewer. Okay, so I'll have you finish all that. And we'll drop them into the marinade. We'll use a couple of seasonings. We're going to use a beef rub on it and a little bit of Texas umami and a little bit of Texas brisket magic. And before you do that, let me go ahead and season it on the cutting board. So let's cut it on the cutting board and let's season our cutting board before we put it in there. That way we get maximum flavor. All right, a little bit of a salt and pepper hit and a little bit umami hit. Okay, second pile, we'll wait for that. Okay, excellent. So folks, it's, when you cook barbecue, any kind of grilling, it's always important to season. So the trick is that a lot of people sometimes dump the meat into the marinade. The pros like me, what we do is we season it before we even put in the marinade. So that way your meat gets double seasoning. So this method of seasoning is called a dry brine. Even though it's going to be on for just a few minutes, the salt crystals will soak into the microfibrils of protein, giving the meat flavor. So that gets a seasoned dry brine before it goes into a wet brine.
Fantastic.
So do the same thing for the beef, a bit of seasoning. So seasoning on cutting board is another tip I can pass on to you. This is kind of your supercharged flavors. That way you get both the benefit of a wet brine and a dry brine together when you cook. Now we go ahead and dump it in now and go ahead and mix it up. And we're gonna do the same thing for the beef. Ideally, you can actually let this sit overnight, but an hour is fine. So that is the one for the chicken. And let's go ahead and skewer the chicken. Now I'm gonna show you guys what we do, right? So the chicken skewer this is a ginormous skewer. So in Asia, you get just a nice bite of chicken.
Okay.
But we're going to do a good old Salt Lake City style. As we say in Texas, go big or go home.
That's right.
We're going to do a kind of a Texas-sized satay, which is going to be a big portion here. And you just kind of run it like that. Through.
Okay. Just kind of snake it back and forth.
Snake it back and forth. Try to get as much of it on the stick as you can.
Okay.
And I'll show you kind of how big we want to get it. That will be about right.
Okay.
Kind of like that.
About three or four strips of chicken on there. Okay. We got a new bowl of marinade here. And so we get the beef in there.
A few skewers. And you did a fabulous job on the skewers.
Thank you.
One suggestion is that if you can cover the tips, because sometimes when the tip burns and when some people eat it, it's a little bit char, but that's okay.
Oh, that's a great tip.
You just kind of pull it up a little bit higher so you can cover the tip. For the OCD people like me, I actually take a pair of scissors and I trim all the little klingons. And for the beef, it's kind of a long piece. You're gonna get it through like that. Same snake pattern, and if you like, you can skewer 2 pieces on it or 1 piece, depending on how it looks like.
For kebabs, I actually like my beef a little bit more medium.
Okay.
For if I'm having a whole steak, I like it medium rare.
So using the thermal pan, what temperature do you like for kind of a ribeye here?
I'm going to be shooting for 135 as our pull temp on this.
Cool. Looks that
looks beautiful.
So the tip is covered.
So Harry, we've got our chicken and our beef satay skewers marinating. We're not going to put those on yet. What do we need to do now?
I would suggest we do a little bit of a contrasting texture and flavor to go with the satay.
All right.
So the beef is going to be absolutely amazing with the satay sauce and the chicken also. So what we're going to do is we want to introduce a little bit of acid into the picture, because I think that with texture from some cucumber and the acid, it will really bring home the flavors of the satay.
Right.
So I'm going to have you do... What we're going to do is we're going to do a very quick pickle.
Okay.
And we're going to cut this into kind of rings like that. And I'll have you do that. And about maybe that much, yay much. And we're going to do a quick pickle. While you do that, I'm going to mix up the pickling juice.
Great.
It's a really simple 3-item marinade. A little bit of rice wine vinegar. About same amount of white sugar. A little bit of brown sugar in it for color. And a little bit of salt. I'm going to use a little bit of a Texas brisket magic rub, which has salt and pepper in it. Stir it up. You know what this is? This is lemongrass.
Oh, yeah, it's a lemongrass brush there.
And you don't have to go and use a brush. You can use a lemongrass brush. And once you're done with that, go ahead and pop it in here.
So we've got enough acid in there now? So
I think so, yeah. And let's go ahead and do a quick pickle. This ordinarily is good in about an hour.
Okay.
And if you want to do it overnight, that's fine too. I like my cucumbers kind of a little bit crunchy. But if you like it soft, that you can actually do this overnight. And if you want to keep this in the refrigerator, it'll last up to a week.
Okay, great.
But I prefer kind of a fresh pickle.
Well, you know, I love when I go to an Asian restaurant and I have some satay, having a fresh pickle there with it, just like the contrast in the flavors and the textures, and you got the hot and then the cold. It really is fantastic. So I really look forward to this.
And then the tip is I have a little bit of a lemongrass brush. We're going to use this to brush the satay.
Okay.
At the same time, the lemongrass will infuse a little bit of citrusy flavor to the pickle itself.
Amazing.
Okay, ready to go. So now that the meat has been marinating nicely, we're ready to grill.
All right.
So these are pickles that you can refrigerate if you like, but they will be fine at room temperature because of the high vinegar content.
Okay. And because we're just going to be eating them in an hour or so anyways, it's going to be fine.
And this is very common in Asia. A lot of Asian dishes have pickles. The reason that it's popular in Asia is because the acid is antimicrobial, antifungal. So that is another tip for those food safety experts out there. So we have the satay marinating, and you notice how I put the foil so that it doesn't burn. We're gonna grill a few here on this side. I'm gonna grill a few here on this side. And you have a thermopan handy.
Yep.
We wanna kind of get it to about 165 on the chicken.
Okay.
And about 135, 140 on the beef.
All right.
The satay is beautifully cooked. We let it rest a little bit. Let's go ahead and finish up the satay sauce. I'll show you how to make the satay sauce. All we have is some peanuts here. So you have a little burner. Let's go ahead and char the peanuts here. I like to char the peanuts because the char gives it an additional layer of flavor. Don't have to do this at home, but we like to push the limit of what we want to try to do, get maximum flavors. You see how it's now getting brown? And that wonderful char caramelization of some of the peanut oils is going to give it additional flavor. And the nice part about having a grill like this, you can keep your meat warm while this is being done. Ordinarily, you should do the sauce before you start. Okay, that's good. All right, go ahead and give it a nice mortar pestle pound, kind of like this. And I like break it up a little bit.
Okay.
Okay. A little brown sugar to caramelize it. Give it a nice toss, the chefy kind of toss. Since you are a professional chef, he's qualified to do that. I'm not. I'm just a cook.
Right.
So the peanuts are ready. Let's go ahead and make the peanut sauce. I'm going to add a little bit of the sambal back again. Add a little bit of liquid. We're going to use the little coconut milk. Beautiful. Give it a stir. And we're going to add the secret ingredient, which is peanuts. So peanut is a great condiment to use. Kind of make your own little barbecue sauce. We have a peanut barbecue sauce. This is really good on salads also. So when I'm at home, I'll make some of this extra sauce and we'll use it for salads. And you can use it for cooking curries. You can use it as a marinade. You can do a bunch of things with it. But the peanut really kind of brings home the richness into the sauce. So folks, when you cook, you really have to balance the flavor. There's no right, there's no wrong to cooking. You just cook to what brings you the most joy. Some days I feel sweet, some days I feel tangy, some days I feel spicy. So always go with what brings you joy and what your family and friends like. So the sauce is ready. The pickles are ready. Let's go ahead and plate. Grab the satay and be careful. Let's separate the chicken from the beef. And the lighter color ones are the chicken.
Chicken.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
One more.
And you can decide if you want the sauce on the meat or the sauce in a container. I'm going to put it in a container.
Yeah.
Everybody usually eats it with sauce, unlike sometimes.
I love it with sauce, so. But I also am fine with it in a container. Harry, this looks amazing. This plating is gorgeous. It smells fantastic. Are we there yet?
We are there. And the Fils de la Resistance is a little bit of peanut sauce here.
Okay.
And get that. And then I like to put a piece of cucumber for texture.
Oh, right on
then,
there.
It's a one bite wonder. Right? One bite wonder.
That's magnificent. The char, the charcoal, the marinade, the peanut sauce is so creamy with those chunks. And of course, the pickle with the vinegar. Just brings it all to life.
Right. So that's what a one bite wonder tastes like. Transported you all the way to Asia. You could be sitting on a beach.
Yeah.
With your adult beverage.
or walking down the street and looking at everything, right?
Yes, absolutely.
With two of these in hand. Can I try the beef one?
Absolutely. That was the chicken, and we'll try the beef.
All right.
You like it a lot of sauce or less sauce?
I'm going to go a little bit less sauce on this one because I like the flavor of the beef so much.
And you have some amazing ribeye.
That's right. So we're not going to shortchange that.
We're gonna another one bite wonder here.
I'm going to
open wide. Ooh, wow, that's a good bite. Wish you guys were here.
Harry, this has been amazing. This is fantastic. I hope you all try this. I hope you've enjoyed watching this. Give it a shot. Go and check out Harry's website. You can check out his rubs there. Also, be sure to check out his YouTube channel. He's going to be editing together his own version of the same video. You can go see us there. Again, thank you so much for joining us here on the barbecue patio. From ThermalWorks and me, Chef Martin, and from Harry Soo, thank you so much for watching.
Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.